So this session is on food and grocery reimagined in the new world of commerce, and I'm pretty excited about this session. Reason being that every day we come about some really baffling options in this category, like 19 minutes delivery precisely. And of course, the rising personal disposable income and the ease of getting stuff is definitely ensuring that this space will have appetite for long. So to talk about this, I'm going to call on stage the panelists for this session. The first panelist we have is Yash Agarwal, Executive Director, Ratandeep Retail. Yash, you're here. We have Mani Dev Gewali, co-founder The New Shop. Mani, you're here? Yes, I've already called upon your name for the stage. If you can join me here. Mani, I've also called upon your name as well, so if you can join me here. We also have Mr. Gaurav Manchanda, founder and managing director, The Organic World. Gaurav. We have Mr. Narendra Pashuparthi, Chief Farmer and CEO and founder, Nandu's. And we also have Seshu Kumar, National Head, Big Basket.
Yes.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. Really excited about this food and grocery delivery. As I was saying that, every day I come across very baffling details about how this space is evolving, and feels good also, but feels whether it's sustainable or not. So I think we have the right mix here from Seshu to everyone to understand whether these are sustainable things or not. So let me just put this fact in front of you that consumption is directly related to income and affordability. So during COVID first, the incomes got disrupted, and post-COVID, when we were kind of catching up, various reasons, geopolitical and otherwise, that inflation has gone up. So which means that again it has corroded affordability. So I would assume that both food and grocery, both space, would have been adversely affected. So is my reading correct, or am I over-reading it? So starting with Gaurav, what do you think?
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. So completely agree with you, Saurav, and I think the way consumption is outlined in over the last couple of years and going forward is of course need-based, where people have must-haves in the consumption on a daily basis, and good to have. Now, with regard to must-haves, there's certainly a need, a daily need for the essentials such as groceries, staples, your basic fruits and vegetables, dairy products, etc. Right now, irrespective of how the market is doing, and irrespective of how there's inflation and the increase in prices, people still need fruits and vegetables. They still need grocery and staples and milk and dairy. It is the good to have items of consumption that get basically where people have to think a little harder. Is this something that I need for the family? So in terms of the trends, where we've seen is that the must-haves, the essentials have stayed essentially consistent over the last couple of years. Through the process of COVID and now going forward, where the prices are increasing, inflation is increasing, etc. So in terms of trends, the consumptions of essentials have stayed consistent, and the consumptions of good-to-have items have certainly have seen certain corrections. Now, there are also other trends that we've seen in the market that have shown up over the last couple of years, especially through the pandemic. When people are picking their daily consumption items, they are starting to become a lot more mindful about what goes into their system and what goes into their body. Of course, through the last couple of years, through the pandemic and COVID, people have, there are a large number of uncontrollables of the fact that there was a pandemic going on, uncontrollables about even things like the air. But what people can control for themselves and for their family is what they consume on a daily basis. And that's where they've certainly become a lot more mindful. And this is a trend that we've seen where we are starting to see people move, towards the intent of buying healthier items, cleaner items, more conscious items going forward. So that is certainly a trend that we're seeing in the industry, and it's data. We're seeing it, across, not only within our stores but across the industry. And there are also research studies that back this up. Right now, with regard to the last point that you had mentioned, with regard to affordability and the price points, that is always going to be a hot topic, and that's it's going to be key for consumption. And this is where the online and offline players certainly also need to work harder to optimize, work harder to become more efficient, provide better prices, help with affordability, create value-led offerings to consumers, where consumers are, certainly still need to, we're able to, in a sense, be a more responsible retailer and a responsible party to help with the cause of the burden in the process. So these are the trends that I've been seeing in the markets.
All right. And I request everyone, whenever you want to jump in anywhere, please jump in. I'll just randomly ask questions. So Seshu, I would want to come to you because with Big Basket, I would believe that the data points that you would have would be really large. So what are we seeing? What kind of trends are we seeing? Like Gaurav said, that must-haves obviously everyone would buy, need to have, or luxury, or probably aspirational stuff. What are we seeing? What are the trends suggesting?
Inflation affects different segments of population.
It's working, I guess.
Inflation affects different segments of population in different ways. So what you find is that in certain categories where customers would like to buy some aspirational products, but typically they find that the aspirational product is, let us say, double that of a regular product. For example, in juices there are cold pressed juices. Similarly, in the case of oils, there are cold pressed oils. So people think that these products are more healthy and so they should buy them. But in a normal course of time, when they come to purchase these products, typically, they would find that these products are about 2 to 3 times more expensive, and they would postpone. But during periods of high inflation, when they find that this product is almost as cheap as the regular product which they are buying, they can actually, make the decision of upgrading themselves to these products much more easier. So it is not actually, there is no single answer for how inflation impacts businesses. Though there are standard notions that during inflation customers downtrade, there are also places where customers upgrade. Okay, because upgrading becomes very easy during high inflationary periods, where the product which is more cheaper, actually the increase in price will be a lot more higher than compared to the more expensive product. Because the more expensive product has already certain inefficiencies baked into its business. For example, when an oil is cold pressed from, let us say, coconut, or it's cold pressed from groundnut or any of these products, the certain inefficiencies in production are already taken into consideration in that cold pressed oil, and due to which it's priced at a higher price. But during inflationary period, when a regular cold pressed oil, edible oil price increases, because either the base product has increased or the product which they blend, particularly the palm oil type of products, when their price increases, the blended oil price also increases. That doesn't actually impact this cold pressed oil because there is no blend in this. So we have found categories where actually, which are a little more aspirational in nature, and which have a very low or minuscule market share or category share in those categories. But during this period, for the last 6 months to 1 year, when the inflation has been high in certain products, we found that the category share of these these aspirational products actually went up during this period. Okay, then the second thing is actually, also the FMCG companies have their playbooks in terms of how to tackle inflation. So they tackle it in a couple of ways. One, they by actually reducing reducing the grammage of the product. Second, they create what are called bridge packs, where a 10 rupee pack and then there is a 20 rupee pack. They will create an in-between pack called 12 rupees or 15 rupees. So during high inflationary period, they can remove the smaller pack and they get the customer to upgrade to that 12 rupee or a 15 rupee pack. So these are the playbooks which organizations have already created to tackle inflation. And same thing works with retail also, where a retailer can have more than one brand, okay, or more than one price point within categories where it is mostly private label dominated. For example, like in the case of staples. So if a retailer has 2 or 3 variants of staples which is selling, then it becomes very easy for the customers to downgrade during that period. Because, for example, in our case, we have 2 variants of staples in all products. One is called BB Royal and second is called BB Popular, where Royal is actually, is benchmarked against the branded products, and Popular is benchmarked against the private labels of other retailers. And we find that, there is a higher, a higher proportion of people who are taking, who are shifting to BB Popular during inflationary periods. So that is the second thing which happens, where, if you are able to, as long as you are able to provide these options to the customers, you can get the customers to actually shift without too much of pain being felt.
And I also think one of the other ways is shrinkation, which I believe that for 12 rupees, if I was getting 100 grams, now for that exact 12 rupees, I'm getting 80 grams, but I don't even notice it that the weight has gone down.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So Yash, I'll come to you now. See, this is an anomaly. So the pandemic said that we should eat healthy. Inflation said that we should save money. So somewhere in between, people are finding ways to accommodate. But to people who are retailers, who want to retail, how do they tackle? Because I don't think AI or any kind of data would allow you to play for this kind of situation. What does one do?
So it's very peculiar the way the whole market behaves, because when we saw the first pandemic and the first lockdown, there was a sudden spike in sales and customers were buying everything from stores. We never sold 1 kg almonds, premium almonds. They're buying premium almonds. And now that we're talking about inflation, that pack size is drastically reduced to 250 grams or 500 grams. They are buying. There is no AI that can predict that, but they are consuming the same SKUs, but in the smaller pack sizes, which have taken the most effect from inflation. And like sir rightly said, I've been tracking oils, the way oils are moving. Every region has their, very popular or very dominant regional sunflower oil brand. And when the price has gone almost to 200, 210 rupees of late, people have moved to Saffola and other cold press oils or olive oils. So that has happened. And customers still want they want. They always have their mindset ki, हाँ महीने को ये तो लगेगा हमें. They start cutting off things that are not really needed. But the core staples always sell. We have never seen, even with the oil prices soaring so high, we have not seen a reduction in the total sale of oil in terms of units or in terms of liters sold. So that has largely contributed to the top line in the last couple of months. But we have seen a downtrend towards more luxury categories or more, indulgent categories like imported chocolates over the years, and maybe, imported wafers, imported snacks. That's where we specialize, and that's where we really bank on to, maintain our gross margins over the period. We carry a good range of imported items. We have seen a reduction in the buying of imported items in the last couple of years. It was at an all-time high in during the first wave, the first quarter then, and then now it has reduced 10 to 15%. But the core staples, the core categories have still remained the way they have. One disruption that we have seen is because of the pandemic, because of work from home, we have seen personal beauty products, the share of personal beauty products reduce in the overall business, in the overall basket value. So maybe people are there at home, they're consuming the same amount of food or probably more, but because they're there at home, they don't need those many beauty products as such. So we have drastically seen the imported range, the beauty products range, the personal care range reduce significantly in the last 2 years, quarter after quarter. So when we see our subcategory sales, the fresh produce is growing drastically because health conscious. Dry fruits are growing drastically. Everybody wants walnuts and almonds and whatnot. And these other categories have degrown in the last 2 years. Okay. So inflation has taken some sort of effect in the core categories where the pack size have reduced, and the shift has happened from non-core to core. So that is what we have observed.
Okay, okay. So Mani, can I conclude from whatever I heard that the inelastic demand category, is the safe bet for any retailer to start with, to keep his SKUs, and the rest is a bet. Inflation आया तो कम खरीदेंगे, pandemic आया तो ज़्यादा fruit खाएंगे, so you cannot really predict that. So is that kind of uncertainty with which retailers should operate in the market?
So I think there's a multi-varied analysis to the whole thing, where what we've seen, and we collect a lot of data through customers with omni-channel, so a lot of data coming through online as well, through multiple channels. So what we've seen is the age group of, let's say, 13 to kind of 35, 30, there we've seen people even buying more, females buying more in that age group, a lot of D2C brands being sold, new age brands that are like up to 2x higher than legacy brands in terms of the MRP and the value of the product. And then if you go beyond like 45, 50 years olds, people, then you could see that they're seeking more value, they're seeking more discount. For example, they're coming up, they're choosing a smaller pack size and things like that. And I think with the kind of population focus that India has in terms of buyers, primarily being that less than 35 years old, we'll still continue to see people buying more expensive products. The average order value will keep on going up, especially in these metro kind of areas. And that's been our learning as well. I mean, right now, there's inflation, but our AOV is only going higher. And that's driven by that Gen Z and millennial customers that are working from home remotely, that have that extra money now. Salaries are at all-time high. So those kind of people are really making up for any kind of possible loss in that 45 plus kind of audience that could opt for more discounted products or smaller pack sizes and things like that. So that's been our understanding. I mean, we do like 25% of our sales to new age brands, which is like crazy. If you think for a retailer who has like 70 plus stores, to be able to sell 25% of your products to new age and D2C brands, that's like crazy. So that is saying is that there's definitely a split in terms of customers, depending on the age group and the kind of work they do. And one side of customer is increasing that basket size tremendously month on month. And the other one is now choosing for more valuable product, discounted products, smaller pack size and things like that. So there's no one size fits all. And I think that's something that retailers need to be careful and analyze the data. I mean, women are buying more now, so focus on women more and things like that, yeah.
So these millennials, I guess, have increased everyone's job. I mean, you have to keep 2 sets of data, one for people like me and one for people like Yash.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll come to you, Narendra. You have a completely different, like your set is different. What has been your observation during, with this inflation and, health being there? So I'm just trying to understand if data can really tell you as a retailer or a grocer, whatever, that here's the product that you can definitely sell, you can keep, you can order, and here are the products you cannot. Can we do that really?
My business is actually very simple. We sell meat and we sell 3 of them, right? Chicken, mutton and fish. So in
but fish has varieties, sir.
Sorry?
Fish has varieties.
Yeah, fish has varieties.
So if you consider them, then there are many products that you have.
Yeah, there's some base products there. But what we found in the beginning of COVID was, somebody got really active on social media and WhatsApp University and put out some videos saying, COVID comes from chicken. So we took a huge beating, right? Like the early months of 2020, I think the industry lost close to about 30,000 crores. This was just, material we had to just kind of destroy. But then come April, May, June, July, it just exploded. Okay? People just realized that they need protein to fight COVID, to stay healthy. That's the basic building block for the immune system. So the demand skyrocketed. There was no question of price, it was just availability. And one interesting thing we saw was, even today, 99% of chicken is consumed from retail stores. Okay. Now, the 90% of the market is actually live chicken market, where you actually go to the butcher, pick your live animal, and they'll slaughter it for you. That shifted. Now people started aligning with brands. They wanted traceability, transparency, and quality, and that's what we were offering. We are completely integrated. We are a full stack company, so that worked very well for us. And this, the demand kept going, and we are very happy with what we are seeing. A lot of the consumers, it's sad to say, but COVID was tough on everybody, but it actually changed people's perception. They wanted quality, they wanted traceability, they wanted to stand by a brand. So a lot of my consumers, I saw a huge shift from live butcheries to our stores. So that's what happened. And frankly, we are a kind of a roti kapda makan kind of a business, right? They will cut going out, they will buy 2 denims less, but they won't stop eating meat. If chicken gets expensive, they will shift into mutton. If mutton gets expensive, chicken or fish, and one of the cheaper varieties of fish. So that's what we have seen. We are really not seeing inflation touch us at the moment. But I guess we'll be the last ones to see it. That's the way I see things.
So basically, if I can conclude that it's category specific inflation, as Sashu also mentioned that, and Gaurav also mentioned that must-haves will not be affected. So
absolutely,
that will remain completely.
No, that's what we are seeing. That's what our data is showing. We are growing healthily about 10% month on month. So we have really not seen the effects yet.
All right. Audience, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand. In between also, I can take questions and move on in case none. Okay. So my next question is on a very interesting topic, which I would want to know about from you, is about quick commerce. Now, when we reimagine commerce, both food and grocery in the new world, we cannot discount quick commerce because we've seen everyone trying to ride this wave, falling off, obviously, in between here and there. What has been your experience with this quick commerce? How good, bad, ugly is this? How sustainable is this? So, Gaurav, if I can start with you.
Sure. Now, with regard to quick commerce and quick service, so I think you hit upon the point of sustainability, and to me, sustainability is driven by a good market fit, with the product offering, right? So these are specific markets and specific niches, and it doesn't necessarily sweep across the whole grocery space. Now, what I mean by that is quick commerce, in my view, is only possible with a limited set of SKUs. It cannot be done across all the SKUs. I mean, there's a limited set of key SKUs of about 1,000, 1,500 SKUs that can be serviced in about 10 minutes with dark stores, with the warehouse, for quick access to be able to deliver it. Now, for those 1,500 to 1,500 SKUs in the quick service model, there has to be a specific market fit for that, right? Now, if you look at quick service across, macro markets, it might not be relevant across, all the micro markets. Where it will be specific and where it will be relevant, where they can be sustainability achieved is within micro markets. So high density markets where there are customers for those 1,500 SKUs, perhaps, the quick drinks, canned drinks, and quick snacks, healthy snacks, almonds and nuts. The key SKUs that would be required by certain markets, such as say younger folks in colleges or bachelors or people just at the early start of their part of their career. They have very specific needs, right? So quick service will only be able to service their needs based on the availability of those 1,500 SKUs. Now, the other players in the space would be 1,500 to about 5,000 SKUs, which would then fall into the, within the 24-hour delivery, and anything above 5,000 would then go into perhaps, 24 to 48 hours delivery. So these are specific needs and specific markets, and not only macro markets, but micro markets. And I believe while, yes, there will be some overlaps, they're not necessarily going to destroy all the other models. I think there's a lot of space in each of these macro and micro markets for these various models to exist. And India is a massive, massive retail market. I mean, it's close to $1 trillion. Grocery is a huge market. So there's space to play. And every player will start getting even more efficient in what they're doing to be able to service the needs of those customers across those SKU list of 1,500 to 5,000 to 8,000. So I think there is space for all these players to play, while there's competition that exists as well.
Mani, your views?
So coincidentally, we are a quick commerce company as well.
Yeah.
So with quick commerce, I think, so the definition we've set for ourselves is quick commerce is not just about getting stuff online within 15, 20 minutes. Right now, it's like 20 minutes average. 10 minutes is very difficult to sustain. I would get to why. But quick commerce for us is customers should get it quick. Like, what about you're driving to office and then you need something? Then you want to order online, right? So for us, it's about whether it's online, whether it's offline, customers should have the ability to get in and out quick, get it delivered quick. It should be very fast. So the whole thing is about convenience. And that's how we operate. So we have offline stores as high density residential areas, and we also do deliveries within 1.5 kilometers from that store within 15, 20 minutes. And absolutely, this is the future of commerce. Like, there's no denying that quick commerce won't be a thing. I don't think 10 minutes will be the norm. I think it'll be 15, 20, 25 minutes, whatever it is, will be something that's, it'll be consolidate to that down the line. But quick commerce is going to be a huge thing. It is possible to be sustainable in that model because the kind of scalability it brings, the opportunity to target so many customers without having them to enter your shop, that opportunity is huge. And I think we're seeing that it's just a nascent stage of companies leveraging upon that. We're doing it both ways, online and offline. If you go to Europe, for example, your Tesco Express or Carrefour, you'll see them doing online and offline beautifully. You're living in an apartment above and there's a Carrefour below. You could order online, you could go there, you could do anything. So that kind of model will continue to grow, and that's definitely the future of commerce. In terms of sustainability, yes, 10 minutes will be difficult to do because for a rider to do like 10 minutes means 10 minutes going, 10 minutes back is like 3 orders an hour. Then you'll be paying a lot more to the rider to make it a profitable business. But as soon as you make it 3 times, for example, 30 minutes, then you only do 2 orders, 2-3 orders an hour, 2-3 orders in 30 minutes, then it becomes easier for you to sustain. So right now, for example, for 3 kilometers, you spend about 55-60 rupees per delivery. They're only charging 15-20 rupees if you go to any delivery app. The moment customers are used to this service and they're willing to pay, which they are now, happened with food tech, you pay delivery fees to, done your Zomato and Swiggy packaging fees as well. So down the line, people will get used to it and avail that delivery fee to make it sustainable. But I think people should also think about how in the offline world to make it interesting for customers as well. So when you're on the way to your work, when you're back from work, when you're out and about with your friends, that ability to just walk in and get it out, that ability to also order online and create that seamless kind of exchange of purchase, I think that's really interesting, and that's definitely the future of commerce for India and the world. Yeah.
I want to come to Seshu. with this on this question of quick commerce. I would want to know your views about these 10 minutes. I mean, 10 minutes. मेरा दरबान जब तक छोड़ेगा बिल्डिंग में वो लिफ्ट लेके ऊपर आएगा हो जाएगा तो कैसे how 10 minutes? What's 10 minutes?
Yeah, before I get into 10 minutes, I just want to give some thoughts on how actually commerce evolves. So you have, typically, for example, if you take fruits and vegetables, there are these thelawalas who come outside each apartment complex and they provide, let us say, 5 to 10 vegetables or fruits. Okay, so I don't know what you will call it, maybe thelawala commerce. Okay, and then, there are these guys who, deliver a few products to your home. Even if you are in an apartment complex, they'll come and give you at home, maybe, along with milk, some banana or something like a few products. Actually, tender coconut used to be there in quite a few cities where during summer they come and deliver tender coconuts to your home. Okay, so then there are, in places like Mumbai, there are these apartment level stores who again they deliver to your home. Okay, and then there are, bazaar, basically a market where there are a number of stores. Okay, some of them are specialized, some of them are non-specialized. There are condiment stores, there are grocery stores and so on. And all of them actually cater to the customers in that area. Okay, and so, what happens in business is that each of these models get evolved and organized. And when they get organized, we give them some nice name. Okay, for example, there is modern trade, Ratandeep. Okay, so it is basically a supermarket. Okay, it actually organized the bazaar stores. Okay. When you organize a small bazaar and when you set up a supermarket into it, then it became a supermarket. Then somebody thought, why only a small bazaar? Why don't I, organize, let us say, 3 or 4 bazaars together? And that's when, all the hypermarkets came, which is like a more hyper or a D-Mart, some of them, which actually cater to a larger catchment area. So now, going by that logic, so the next step is obviously someone has to actually, organize the kirana store delivery, the outside the apartment store delivery, the thelawala commerce, and somebody who delivers tender coconuts to your home. And that's what I think this quick commerce. And we also have another app called BB Daily, which is basically a daily subscription model where customer can order till 10 o'clock in the night, or he can subscribe for a certain product, and along with milk in the morning we deliver them. So these are all models of commerce which are evolving to replace this thing, or organizing that. It's not exactly replacing, but organizing that channel. So the same milk person who used to deliver to you before, now along with milk, he will also deliver some fruits and vegetables and some grocery items and all that. And he also earns, and Big Basket or the organized player behind also earns as a part of that. So that is one commerce. And similarly, quick commerce is basically the kirana store equivalent. Either you tie up with the store or you set up a small supermarket, maybe 1,000 square feet, 2,000 square feet, keep about 2,000 SKUs like the way Manish was telling. And then you deliver them within 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Actually, the 10 minutes I think is a catchword which somebody had used to actually popularize it. Because 10 minutes people think it is so difficult.
What about 19 minutes?
Yeah?
Then there was 19 minutes also.
Yeah, 19 minutes. So somebody uses this thing to just popularize them so that, the word of mouth spreads. People say, is it really possible? And then somewhere, maybe 50% of the time it is possible. And that alone becomes a proof of concept. Okay, so, so these, I don't really believe in a 10-minute commerce and a 20-minute commerce and a 30-minute commerce. But I'm sure that there is a channel which can be called as quick commerce, which will deliver as quickly as the thelawala or the apartment store or a kirana store. So it replaces all these 3 things. Okay, and that is going to be called quick commerce. So the delivery time can vary anywhere between 10 minutes to maybe 45 minutes. Okay, and that will be the entire space which is available. And that space, as it gets organized, as Manish had said, 100% there is a potential for that. Okay, but it will reach an inflection point where the business model also becomes profitable for the retailer at the other end and convenient for the customer. Today it's 100%, it's proved that it's convenient for the customer. It's still not 100% proved whether it is profitable for the retailer. Over a period of time it will evolve, And once it becomes profitable for the retailer, I think that model will be there for stay.
And not convenient for the delivery guy also possibly.
Yeah, it should be convenient for a delivery person.
Right.
So it's like, a supermarket, it should be comfortable for the employee who is working there, cashier who is cashiering there, and to the customer. Okay, so the same thing, it should be convenient for the delivery. That's why I'm saying 10 minutes is probably a word someone had used it to make someone argue about it and to create that word of mouth. But later it may evolve into 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever. But anything which is below 1 hour, a customer finds it more comfortable to order, and he thinks that it is equivalent to my Kirana store, and that's how it gets organized.
Okay. Any questions from anyone? Because we'll have to wrap up this session in quick time. Okay, all right, I don't think. So one quick last question, and maybe very quickly I would want to understand, as my favorite question, if someone from the last session is here, would know that I don't let anyone go without talking about Web3, because that's my area of interest. I'm really interested in it. And we've seen banks, we've seen cloth makers, we've seen shoemakers and everyone. Do you think in food and grocery there is a use case for Web3? Anyone? Piyash, Gaurav, anyone? Naren, in meat service maybe?
So Saurav, I think the Web3 is an exciting phase that's going on, right? In my view, it is truly a paradigm shift on the web. And this is not only going to impact, the grocery space and the retail space, but pretty much, all the businesses out there, right? Now, specifically talking about retail and grocery, I think it is more so relevant for us because we're in the organic food space and the natural food space where we work directly with the farms. And one of the things that we try really hard to work on is trust and transparency, right? And trust and transparency is a question that, consumers want to know. I mean, is it from organic farms? Which farms is it from? Do you have certificates for it? How do I know it is truly organic, etc., right? And that is a problem that we can solve through Web3 technology such as blockchain. Blockchain allows us to provide a consumer with traceability from where the source is, and it gives a full supply chain view to a consumer, to other various stakeholders in the equation. So this element of traceability gives, further it leads to trust and transparency. So for example, I mean, one of the things that we're working on internally is this, this view of traceability when somebody, is purchasing something, that they have the ability to click on and identify which farms this particular carrots or cucumbers grown on, right? Okay, we know now the farms in the geolocation area. Okay, do we have the certificates for it? Click on it, you have the, you have the certificates for it as well. Let's say this is truly organic, this is the batch, and this is what it is, right? And this could also fall across, various other FMCG and consumer products as well. So it is something that we are looking at very closely and we've already started work on, and I think it's very relevant for us. Now, taking it a little more on the wild spectrum with Web3, I think, it could really span anything from, having retail formats and farms in the metaverse, for example, as well as, having NFTs to be part of a particular community, right? In the sustainability space or the food space, or, where there's a community, that's where even NFTs become relevant, because once you have access to an NFT, you have access and a membership to a particular community. So it is very relevant, and I think there's going to be some interesting use cases that would develop. We're at the very early stages. And I think it's certainly going to impact not only our industries, but pretty much all the other industries out there as well.
I think in the meat industry as well, it can have blockchain can play a major role because it's very prone to infections and all the meat products.
Absolutely. I think he was absolutely right in saying blockchain technology is one of those things that will help brands take transparency and traceability beyond just marketing messages and put where your money, put your money where your mouth is, right? That is when using these technologies are what producers can actually get the message out and give complete traceability. That is something that we are looking at because we have tons of data, and we just.
So you've already started working in this area?
We are working on those lines. But other priorities, so it's going to come in some time. And then we're going to put all of our production data all the way from the feed milling to parent breeding, hatcheries. So if somebody wants to figure out what's the chicken they bought today, we can trace it all the way back to its parentage. Okay. So yeah, exciting technologies to help brands actually bring out value to the consumer. Just a little more than just marketing messaging.
Yeah. It's evolving space, so will take time, I guess. It's still
it's a good to have at this point in time.
Yeah, good to keep track of, basically.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You wanted to add something?
Yeah. So one use case which both of them are talking about is the areas where there is need for trust. Okay. So which can work in fruits and vegetables. It can work in meats. It can work in organic products, where you actually want to know where the product has come from. Is it really organic or not? And then, you can check and, using the blockchain and these types of technologies, you can check as to which farm it has come from and all that. The second, the second use case, which I think can work in 3.0, using 3.0 technologies, is basically what I call as specialty products. So typically in most of the cities you have this, people remember that a certain store sells a certain type of product which is not available anywhere else. So for example in Hyderabad, pickles are very famous. And there used to be a few stores which sell these pickles, and one of them I remember it became very famous as NRI Pickle Shop, which is the Velankani stores. Okay, so whenever NRIs come to Hyderabad, they will go to that particular store, Velankani store, and then they buy pickles, and that guy even does the packing and all that. So these types of things can be, the Web 3.0 can actually enable selling these, specialized products much more easily, where it can be listed on an e-commerce platform, and someone can actually go and buy, and then he can also see as to where it is being produced, how it is being produced and all that, and it gets delivered to you. So the entire specialty range, whether it is in terms of chocolates, papads, pickles, yeah?
Sweets maybe.
Yeah, sweets.
Sweets across the country.
Yeah, across the country. Yeah, so these are all the areas where there is a very clear application of using 3.0 technologies, where the people who are buying actually can feel as to where it is being produced and how it is being produced, and they can buy the products.
I think I think one of the key points that everyone is missing these days about Web3, the whole discussion is, so Web3, I mean, blockchain is a part of it. So the ability to put it out in the network and then be able to trace it is one of the aspects of it. The other aspect is obviously creating that community through NFTs, because it's non-fungible, so you can't be changed. With that comes the opportunity where customers will trust you more. So your whole bills could be NFTs, your receipts could be NFTs, your purchase orders could be NFTs, your invoices could be NFTs. So that's like huge on customers' trust. Blockchain obviously gives that traceability in terms of where it's coming from, who is doing this, who is working for this. Am I giving my money to someone that's worth my money? Brings that transparency. But one of the parts of Web3 that we can't do in India right now is the payments part. So the ability to pay in some kind of a token is a critical part of Web3. That's currently sadly illegal in India. And I think, but how brands could use it is, and how we're also planning to do it is, for example, things like loyalty points could be tokenized. You could tokenize it easily. Certain kind of loyalty membership pass could be an NFT by itself, which can be traded down the line by users because it's so valuable for that community. So you could play around that as well. Obviously, with the whole blockchain thing, there's a lot of data privacy that people can expect. And that's something that's really, the younger customer is very excited about. And last but not the least, the whole metaverse angle, I think it offers like a huge opportunity in terms of personalization. So imagine you are in a metaverse and you're at one of the new shop stores, and it personalizes to you. So whatever you buy is in front of you, whatever you don't buy is in the back somewhere. There's a virtual assistant that's addressing you by your name. They'll tell you that, okay, you had bought this that day, what do you want to buy again? They'll say what things you might like. They'll tell you everything about the product you're trying to purchase when you pick it up. in the metaverse, they'll give you information about it. So that's very exciting. I think this is also another thing, just like quick commerce kind of stormed everything and disrupted the whole industry worldwide, not just in India. In India, it's still nascent. The whole Web3 and metaverse, especially as payments in tokens gets legalized in India, I think when it happens, that'll be another storm that we can expect. And I think retailers should think in that direction as well, because a lot of younger population, the Gen Z crowd is like very excited about it. I've seen with tangible things like sneakers, for example, branded T-shirts, watches, things like that. Like people are going for Web3 and metaverses to buy those. And that's really exciting. And that's another thing that I think in 5 years will be a thing. We'll see a lot of companies doing that. We're already researching and developing something in regards to that. And I think in 5 years, we'll see a lot of that happening.
Yes, final thoughts. I think it's just a natural progression, right?
Yeah, I mean, everything said and done, like we were discussing, it's an evolution. This business is an evolution. Your fundamentals have to be right. If your core fundamentals, your core business model is right, then adapting to all these things as and when the time is not difficult. For example, I think that Web3 will play a very, very crucial role for manufacturers, for food manufacturers. What we have recently seen, the campaign that ID did, it just blew everybody's mind with actually looking at their processing center as to how it is made. And like Sir said, exactly for like specialty products, even for specialty retail, it will play a very critical role. For a very typical, traditional, fundamental retail store, for example, something like a D-Mart, that will not even be part of their strategy for the next 10 years, because their target audience is very different. So what is the fundamental of your business? Who your target audience is? For them, it's millennials. The quick commerce, that's where it may play a very critical role. And one thing that I never really thought about was the loyalty, because okay, you can't give discount like big retailers all the time, because you'll not be able to make it profitable. How else do you tie down the customer to your existing stores? Loyalty plays a very critical role. For retailers like us who are operating 100 to 150 stores, adding 20-25 odd stores of 4,000-5,000 square feet year on year, loyalty plays a very critical role. And if with the coming time, with the mentality of the upcoming buyers changing, the new customers, the millennials changing, if Web3 becomes an important sort of a POS for us, then why not? We would definitely want to adapt to it eventually. But all that said and done, the fundamentals have to be very strong. They have to be set in stone properly. That's what I feel.
All right. Thank you so much. I mean, you guys have really made me all the more excited about Web3, because in the last session when I talked about it, I was told that, keep your shiny little toy with you, new toy with you. It's not going to work now. But as I see that there is scope and there is use cases that everyone is talking about, so I'm sure it will take shape. So thank you so much. That would be about it, because we don't have questions and we have run out of time. So I thank you everyone for joining us today, and thank you audience. I would request you to stay back. The next session would be on strong foundation of omni-channel here in this hall itself. And do we have the mementos, please? I would just request everyone to stay back for a minute. We have some mementos. Thank you so much.